Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds. And here with me today, I have one of the hottest quarterbacks in this year's draft class. His name is Taylor Elgersma. He is a quarterback out of Laurier. Nice to meet you today, buddy.
I'm excited to be on with you. I appreciate you having me.
I appreciate you too, man. I mean, obviously, we're looking at a guy who had a fantastic year up north there in Canada, winning the Hec Crighton Award, which is pretty much the NCAA equivalent to the Heisman, of course. And so I wanted to obviously get a chance to meet you. Your all-star circuit days have been absolutely insane. We'll talk about all that and all your accomplishments. Go ahead and introduce yourself and let's get going.
Yeah, like you said, Taylor Elgersma, Wilfrid Laurier University, up in Ontario, and obviously excited to get on and talk a little bit about some of the things that you just mentioned there. It's been a busy couple months for me.
Yeah, I mean, buddy, you went from the CGS to Tropical Bowl to Senior Bowl to maybe getting drafted in two different leagues here very soon. Want to kind of break things down, of course, but I mean, I actually want to start as far back as we can. First off, how long have you played this game of football?
Yeah, I got a little bit of a late start to the game. I was a hockey player growing up, and so I didn't start playing football till the 10th grade. One of my buddies kind of pulled me aside and was like, "Dude, we need a quarterback. Come on out." And I came out and fell in love with the game right away. Fell in love with the schematic part of the game, the leadership part of the position, and made the transition in 10th grade and haven't looked back since from there.
Very interesting because I mean, not that a guy up north there in Canada is playing hockey, because I mean I think most of those guys are doing that anyways, but more so the timing, of course, and how you're coming to the sport. um uh I was talking with you earlier before we hit record. You were talking a little bit about your position there in hockey, which maybe doesn't necessarily translate that well to a quarterback. I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, in hockey, I definitely played the game a little bit different than you play the quarterback position. I was, a penalty killer, a big defenseman, like to hit and be the physical presence for the guys out there. But I think I definitely translated some skills from hockey into football, and one of them being toughness. I think being a quarterback, you have to be one of the toughest guys in the field, and you have to be, a warrior and a leader for your guys. And I think that, those qualities are something I definitely, learned playing, the sport of hockey.
When I'm thinking about guys that maybe embody some of that mentality, as a football player, I'm probably looking more towards the defensive side of things. When I'm looking maybe at the quarterback spot, maybe I'm looking at some old school type guys. Part of me is looking at guys like Ben Roethlisberger. Are there guys that who you personally grew up, watching, wanting to be like at the professional level, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I think specifically when you talk about, that mindset and that competitiveness and that intensity, I think the first one that comes to my mind is the greatest of all time, Brady. You could see the way that he played with the fire, in his eyes, the way that, he wanted to win so badly. And sometimes that came out, with that, competitiveness and that intensity and that, willingness to take hits and get back up right away. And I think that, that's something I always admired about his game and the way that he played, was that toughness and leadership that he played with.
Hey, obviously played with that sort of intensity this past year, winning a whole heck of a lot of awards, a lot of great accomplishments. Just want to mention a couple of them. Again, the Hec Crighton Award winner, which that's kind of like the you know icing on top of the cake, of course, but also getting all Canadian, first team All Canadian, winning. Uh, I guess, how do you guys kind of view it? You kind of view it as like a conference title or
Yeah,
something, like, winning like the
exactly.
OUA title. I mean, talk through that a little bit, because I mean, you had a couple of spots with like a bowl win and whatnot.
Exactly. So it's exactly kind of like the conferences in the NCAA. So we have four conferences in Canada, and I won the Ontario conference, so the OUA. And then if you win your conference, then you advance to a national semifinal. And so that would have been the UTEC Bowl that we won the national semifinal, and then we obviously made it to the Vanier Cup, which is our national championship. And so, yeah, it's similar to how the setup is in the NCAA.
Yeah, so came this close to a national title, in the Vanier Cup. Obviously, didn't quite get there, but was really your only loss this season, man. But great season for you. Looking at a guy who threw for over 4,000 yards, which is happening actually with less games, people. Than obviously you have there in the States. uh, um, 35 touchdowns in the air, 7 on the ground. Talk about y'all's offense there, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, we ran a scheme that I loved to be a part of. Coach Galloway, our offensive coordinator, he really lets the quarterback make decisions with the ball in his hands. We run, similarly to what you could consider like a West Coast offense. We throw the ball a lot. We also have a lot of RPOs in our offense, which allowed me to, make a lot of, decisions in terms of, getting the ball in space to my guys in the perimeter and letting them go make plays and, being able to kind of, dictate down and distance, only having 3 downs in Canadian football. It's important that your run game is getting you 5 yards a pop. And so having a good RPO game where you can, manage the box and get the ball out into guys in space is an important part of the game.
I mean, the Canadian ball is interesting because it is very pass friendly, if we're being real about it, where like it's more spread open. You have multiple guys rushing to the line of scrimmage, as your motion guys, really giving guys like yourself a huge advantage as you're taking that, maybe even progressing to the next level of or to the NFL even. How are you trying to make that adjustment?
Yeah, there's definitely differences. Like you said, unlimited motion, being able to not only have lateral motion but forward motion towards the line of scrimmage. We play with 12 players, so having an extra receiver and an extra DB on the field. But I think for me, like as I've made that transition to 11 on 11 game, the concepts are still the same. You still see the same coverages. There's just different rotations in the defense, and I think one thing that I've noticed when you look at the Canadian game versus the American game is simple rotations. We get a lot of too high rotation in Canada because we have the extra DB. You can rotate, your strong safety as you would consider them in the States. We would consider them more like a true dime or a Sam linebacker up to the roof and still end up in too high. Versus in the States, the rotations are mostly too high to one high or one high to too high. And so just seeing those differences in the defense, but still being able to read out concepts, is just part of, my process in learning the American game.
I mean, it seems simple enough. If in some ways, you might even have an advantage to some guys in the States because of the fact that you have that extra player out there. Uh, just putting that out there for people. Um, the other thing that I feel really helps you as a prospect is, given the fact that, again, you threw for over 4,000 yards, had an excellent outing this past season. One of the things that I found very intriguing was we're looking at a guy with 74% completion percentage. And get this, guys, anyone who might be watching, um, that's in line with Shedeur Sanders, who, for all intents and purposes, a lot of people are thinking he's a top, pick in this upcoming NFL draft. Um, Taylor, how do you describe yourself as a quarterback?
Yeah, I think that, you talked about that high completion percentage. And for me, that's one of the things that I'm most proud of because I think that, that can kind of showcase that I, understand where I'm going with the ball pre-snap, that I can diagnose defenses. And I think that that's really a product of growth within, my system, but also growth as a player. I was fortunate enough to be able to go to 3 professional training camps, 2 with the Toronto Argonauts and 1 with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and really being able to listen to those coaches, dive into that scheme has really helped my, pre-snap processing, helped me get the ball in my hands on time. And, touchdowns and the explosive plays come. But, if you can move the sticks and stay on the field consistently, you're going to have an offense that's successful. And so that's something that I'm definitely proud of.
Some of the things that I've read on you are in some of your the evaluation is really quite obvious. We're looking at a guy with prototypical size, 6'6", 220, 225, perfect size for you old school type, quarterbacks. But some people have mentioned the term raw. When you take on some of these comments and someone saying, hey, he's really been, at this game for maybe so many amount of years, he's a little raw. How do you take those criticisms?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the first thing I'll say, it depends who it's coming from. I think that it's important to listen to the voices that have been there before. And when I'm at the Senior Bowl and I'm listening to my offensive coordinator, my quarterback coach, or when I'm here at quarterback country getting coached up, I think that it's important that I take all those things in stride and really apply them because I am someone who's committed to getting better and developing, and I think that's a big part of who I am as a player and who I am as a prospect. Is I want to showcase that I have a high ceiling and I have the attributes to be successful. And so for me, it's all about getting better, working hard, and continue to take those next steps. And I don't think that anyone would be wrong in saying that I haven't played the game for as long as other people. So it's all about for me just showcasing that ceiling and continuing to get better.
Well, I mean, in some situations, you have played it just as long as some of these other guys who are coming out with really, 1, maybe 2 years being a starter. You've been a starter for quite some time. I mean, you've put together a solid career of, several years being started there for Laurier and had a great season this past year. One of the guys that I want to give you an opportunity to talk about was really one of your favorite targets there in Eden Jordan. So, talk a little bit about your relationship with him and how he's really helped that offense work.
Yeah, you kind of talked about it. Me and Ethan have been able to start a lot of games together, and so we both kind of started to be a big part of our offense at the same time. Halfway through our freshman year, we both got opportunities to get on the field, and I was able to start half that freshman year. And then the start of our second year, we both kind of took over as the leaders of the offense. And he's always been a guy who's been super reliable for me. He has he understands how to change gears. He can fly down the field, but he's also a very smart route runner, and he understands how to find windows in zone. He understands how to use his leverage in man and win, and so he's been someone that our chemistry's just got better and better as we've developed as players, and I'm super excited to see what his future has for him.
Great. Obviously, wanted to give you a chance to hype up, one of your fellow mates there. So, let's talk about this past season again. Undefeated regular season, a lot of great games going on. So, the one thing that's a little different this year than perhaps in previous years is winning the Yates Cup. So, talk to me about that game and about those matchups because I mean you faced them twice this year.
Yeah. That Yates Cup championship was a very special moment, not only for me, but for our entire program. We're a small school who has been, continuing to build year after year since, my kind of class got there. And we took it in our hands and we showed up on campus that we wanted to make a difference in this culture and we want to become a championship culture. And I think, us being able to bring some hardware back to the school as seniors and being able to win it at home and kind of bring that to the community. It is a moment I'll never forget. And you talked about the matchup with Western. They obviously have a bunch of stud players over there as well, and they've been a program that's been at a national title level many many times. And for you Americans, they kind of would be like a Bama of the NCAA, and so being able to beat them in the Yates Cup and take them down in my senior year, not once but twice, is definitely something that I'll hold close to my heart.
So, is there perhaps a moment in one of these games or any other game from this past season that you can maybe talk me through, like like favorite play wise or highlight?
Yeah, I think of a couple. The Vanier Cup was a tough loss, but we got redemption on a play we missed. We missed the first play of the game. We missed a deep corner ball to EJ, and then in the second half we were able to hit that same play, it was a quads concept where we're running a diagonal with a corner and then a kind of a bad dig underneath of it, and being able to kind of let that thing go and get a big momentum play for us there was big for us, and so that's one that comes to my mind that I'm really fresh in my memory because it was our last game. There's many plays throughout my entire career that I think of, but being able to kind of get a little bit of redemption on that one that we missed first play is something that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, again, nothing to be ashamed of this past season for you guys. I mean, put out a solid outing, and then we're moving on as to you as a professional prospect. Um, Dude, you had every single opportunity along the way. I have no idea how you get all of these opportunities because not everybody is as blessed as you. But you certainly showed out at each and every spot that you landed at, going from the CGS, the Tropical Bowl, and then the Senior Bowl of all places. Talk about you, at the CGS and maneuvering through all these spots.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, those invites kind of came in sequential form. I started in Texas at the College Gridiron Showcase and had a good weekend there and was fortunate enough to get the invite to go down to Florida at the Tropical Bowl. And after both of those games had been done, I got a call from Jim Nagy that was inviting me to the Senior Bowl. And so, for me, that entire process is, it was fast and it was exciting and it was, something that I was super happy. And like you said, I'm super blessed that I was able to get the opportunity to compete at all those events. But for me, it was all about building and showcasing to these scouts, like we talked about, I haven't played the American game a lot. And so getting the opportunity to continue to compete against these guys and get better at each showcase was important for me. And ultimately at the Senior Bowl, being able to compete against the best of the best and prove that I belong with them and prove that I can play in that timing with those guys, I think was super important for me in this draft process.
I'm assuming that since you attended three All-Star events, you have probably interviewed with every professional team that is out there. Talk to me about some of these encounters, man. I mean, with you, sitting down with, oh, I don't know, the CFL guys versus some of the NFL brass that you've been able to talk with at the Senior Bowl. Any any moments that stick out from any of them, or are they just kind of a blur?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'll say the interview process is one of my favorite parts of this entire draft process. Being able to sit down and showcase who you are as a person to staff members and scouts and coaches and being able to really kind of, open up and let them know who you are because, they can watch tape and they can see who you are as a player, but really getting the chance to know you is something that's important to them. They want to know who they're bringing into their locker room. And so, being able to talk to a bunch of CFL teams and NFL teams at CGS, being able to interview with NFL teams at CGS, and then ultimately, like you said, the Senior Bowl, the draft interviews are pretty cool. You get to sit down in the room with a lot of teams, get on the board, go through film, and so I guess a simple one that sticks out to me is just Dable with the Giants, obviously in the Senior Bowl room, just him installing the protection and kind of giving me a hard time about how I say out and the typical Canadian things. I think that was a pretty fun interview for me and being able to kind of have a laugh in amidst the intensity of draft interviews was definitely cool.
So he's teasing you with about your accent.
Yeah, I got a bit of an accent, so he was having a fun time with that.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you guys, north of the border, you talk a little funny, but maybe perhaps to you guys, I talk a little funny. So, that's just how life is, guys. Let's get over it. But hey, your invitation to the Senior Bowl actually marked an astonishing thing. I mean, where we had a guy who was literally the first U Sports quarterback invited to the Senior Bowl. Dude, that's got to be pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
You're looking at a guy who completely killed all these all-star events, and you're in a position right now where you could end up being maybe drafted in two separate leagues. And there are some people who would say you're likely going to be the number one guy in the CFL draft. I'm just going to be the one to say it, but we'll see what happens in this NFL draft too. Like, has that sunk in a little bit that you might be in that position?
I think for me, it's all about looking, forward. And I know that you use the word blessed, and that's something that definitely, I think of. I know that, all my hard work, the Lord is blessing me with these opportunities and these gifts, and so my job is to just keep, shepherding them well and keep working as hard as I can to keep, taking that next step and taking that next progression in this journey. The same way I did with those all-star circuits, earning the invite next after next, there's a next step in this process, next step in this journey. And so for me, that's been getting prepared for my pro day, getting prepared to interview with teams and let them know, that I belong with these guys and that I deserve the chance to play down here. And so, there's exciting things ahead, but I'm trying to keep my eyes and feet where I am and stay focused in the moment.
I hear you. Wasn't invited to the NFL Combine. Are you attending the CFL Combine?
I'm not, just because of the pro day, like I talked about. I'm getting ready to go for this pro day, and so I'll be able to kind of showcase those things there. And we just went through the long couple months I've had, and so hopefully with the pro day and everything, I'll be able to showcase myself to the CFL teams.
So you're going to be at the at Buffalo's pro day.
Yes, sir.
Any other pro days happening? Are we still have some things up in the air, maybe, or is it just kind of the one?
As of right now, Buffalo. There might be some stuff up in there, but as of right now, we're just at Buffalo.
All right, well, fair enough. Where have you been training at? I mean, I see the Bo Nix poster in the back. Where are you at right now as you're preparing for pro day?
Yeah, I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, with quarterback country. Ben Neal, Stockton McGuire, they've been training me up. And I came down here before that whole All Star circuit, for a couple weeks, and in between, the CGS and the Tropical, I was able to come back and be with these guys, and they've done a really good job preparing me for all of that stuff. And so, not only are they, great quarterback trainers, but they're great people. And so, I love being down here, and it's been a fun time.
Cool. Might have a spot at one of these teams in the NFL these days. A lot of guys hitting the free agency lately, so I do feel like you might be a late round draft pick. I'm just saying. I'm gonna throw it out there. I think it'll be interesting. Taylor, it's been great getting to know you as a football player, but I kind of want to know the guy that's under the helmet, the guy maybe perhaps outside of the game of football. Tell me a little bit about you, if you don't mind. Any of your hobbies, interests, any side hobbies, or
Yeah.
special talents or fun facts? Give me something about you.
Yeah, I'm a regular guy, man. I like, playing cards, playing golf, but for me, something that's really important is I kind of touch on a little bit about my faith. I think that I've really dove into my faith over the last couple of years, being able to, find a church at university, be able to lead Bible study with, a couple other guys on my team, and we've really been able to, have a locker room that's for the Lord, and I think that that really helped us in our success this past year. And so that's been something that's been important for me in my individual life. And when you have faith and you have football, the rest of it takes care of itself. And so I have a great family around me. I have a great support system, and so like I said, I'm a chill guy outside of that. I like to do the regular hobbies and go hit some balls at a sim or go play some cards with my roommates. But life's kind of those things right now.
All right. Favorite card game? Favorite card game?
Poker or euchre? Poker or euchre?
Okay. I'm not too familiar with euchre, but I mean, I'm very familiar with several games of poker. Definitely nice there. Taylor, kind of want to throw a couple other fun questions your way. I mean, completely non-football related, really just for kicks, so we can sit back, relax, and get to know you. So, you much of a movie guy? Like, you have a favorite movie here or there, or what?
Yeah, I'm not a huge movie guy, but me and my roommates, we watched the Avatar series. I like the Avatar movies.
Okay, all right, that works. Uh, you big into superheroes? Like, is you have a favorite superhero or what? or not so
Uh,
much?
I'm not a big superhero guy, but I would go Batman. Batman's pretty cool.
All right, that works. Uh, I got a bunch here on a card that I read from. So I mean, just play along, man. So
Cool.
uh, let's say it's karaoke night, and I'm giving you the microphone, and you're having to stand in front of maybe perhaps the entire team because they're just razzing on you or something. Is there something that you feel mostly comfortable?
I'll
Uh,
go. I'll go Georgia Time by Riley Green.
All right, there you go. Appreciate you working with me on that one. That one's always fun. So, let's see. You have any pets?
Yeah, I have a dog. His name's Cruz, and he's a Shepherd Husky Lab mix.
Yeah, you definitely need a bigger dog up north. None of these little things. They
No,
got to be able to, walk outside and not freeze to death. So, you bit of an outdoors guy or no?
yeah, I like the outdoors. I'm a big. I like walking in the park. That's a big way for me to relax before games. I'll go for a nice walk, listen to some music, and chill out.
All right. What are you listening to, man? Like if you're maybe in the locker room or something, like you have something that helps get you right. Like
I'm a,
what's happening?
I'm a weird guy. I'm a country guy always, so I'm always listening to country music, even pregame. Um, and it's pretty consistent for me.
All right. Well, fair enough. I gotta play with you a little bit. So appreciate you playing playing along. Um, I think we're running into our time limit here, but I mean, I kind of want to hit you with, maybe one more. Obviously, you want to, get to the league. I know you had mentioned before, Tom Brady's walk, has been out now. I think most people would feel like Mahomes is the top dog right now in the NFL. Uh, who are some of the other guys for you that you've really enjoyed watching as you're trying to prepare for your turn at the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, for me, someone that I love watching, and I think, I kind of play a little bit of a similar game to is Matt Stafford. I think he's done it at a really high level for a long time, and I think he leads, his guys, very, very well. I think he understands how to play the game at a high level in terms of getting the ball to his guys in space, in terms of letting his guys go make plays, and also he has crazy arm angles that, sometimes go unnoticed, and he's a tough dude. Even when I think back to his Detroit days of how tough he was, I think that he's someone that I definitely look up to. And then obviously, Josh Allen's been doing it and playing at such a high level recently. The way that he runs the ball, the way that he has that cannon attached to him, I think that those are two guys that I think of when I watch the tape, and I really enjoy watching.
I was hoping you were going to go the Josh Allen route because I mean, again, for a guy your size, I'm looking for you to talk up a guy who's around your size. I mean, I want to say Josh Allen is like 6'5", 235 pounds. I mean, he's a huge dude.
Huge
I
dude.
mean, I definitely don't want to necessarily be in his way when he's running towards me. But I mean, I know he has a cannon of an arm. I know you have a cannon of an arm. What are you working on these days?
Yeah. One thing for me is just under center footwork. We were a predominantly gun team in university, and that's pretty typical in the Canadian game. So getting adjusted to all different under center drops, the play action drops, the play action boots, all the pro style things that you see in the NFL that it's important to be crisp and clean with. And that was one thing that I'm excited to show at my pro day is that from Senior Bowl to pro day, I've repped those drops. I've got better at them, and they're only going to continue to get better. And so that's one thing for me for sure that I'm going to continue to work on.
Awesome. I know that that's something you're working on, but I know you're bringing a lot to the table as a prospect. As we close up our time, go ahead and close with any of your final thoughts as to why you feel you need to be drafted and given an opportunity, not just at the CFL level, but I want to see you drafted in the NFL too. So go ahead and tell all these people what you're all about. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I bring a unique blend of toughness, leadership, and processing to the position. I think that I play with that toughness, that hockey background that we talked about, and I think that guys want to play for me because they can see that competitive fire, that intensity, how much I love the game, and I think that knowledge is the reason why guys can have trust in you, and I think that you talked about the completion percentage. I think that I process the game at a really high level, and kind of that unique blend of me is why I think that I have a super high ceiling, and for me, it's all about continuing to show that ceiling to teams, continuing to prove to them that, if they bring me into the locker room and invest in me, that I'm going to, produce for them and turn into something special. And so I think that, that's my argument to teams is that you bring me into the room, I have all the tools, I have all the intangibles, and just bet on me and I'll bet on myself.
Awesome. Well, I would sure bet on you to be drafted in both leagues. So Taylor, want to wish you all the best moving forward. All right.
I appreciate that. Thank you for the time.
Sure thing. Once again, I have with me one of the hottest names creeping up everyone's draft board. His name is Taylor Elgersma, quarterback out of Laurier. Check him out.